Je pense que vous ne pourriez pas vivre sans musique.
No, life without music is, for French, it would be a life without wine. It's the same thing, I think.
Quel était le premier disque que vous avez acheté?
I don't remember the exact first one, but I've started listening to Bach very early on. So that was probably one. I mean, I have a record collection with 7,000 records. So I remember the one that I bought before I had money to buy anything. That was Bach flute sonatas with Franz Buchen, amazing flute, German flute player. And that's probably one of the earliest ones that I bought. The Mendelssohn violin concerto when I was playing the violin. This is something that my mother bought me. So I remember these, but specifically the first one, no.
Si vous pouviez voyager dans le temps et choisir d'assister à un événement musical particulier, quel serait cet événement? Le rooftop concert des Beatles, un opéra dirigé par Mozart ou un gig de Miles Davis?
Anything that has Bach in it, I would be sitting right there by the organ and not breathe for a second. A faint proof that maybe there is God. That's Bach to me. So it's not something that a brain can really comprehend. So it's as close to divinity that I can get.
Pourquoi Charlie Hayden est-il aussi important pour vous?
It's a good question. Well, first of all, we go back to Magico. So in the 70s, ECM released an album by Alberto Gismonti, Jean Gerberac, and Charlie Hayden. It was called Magico. Now, Magico in Portuguese, that's what I was told, is a slang for magic, but also a drug dealer, the guy who brings the magic. So I love that album, and at a certain time, when I started to build speakers, I had a design company, needed to start taking checks from people, so I needed a name for a company that I can open up a bank account for that business, so I called it Magico. That's before this whole thing became what it is today. So that's the Charlie Hayden connection to Magico, but I also love him very much. He's a great bass player. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he just happened to be in a lot of good recordings that I appreciate. He was also very attentive to the quality of the records that he was making, which is also important to what we do. There is a multiple connection that relates us to him. I bring the drug. Drug can be many things. And I think Magico really works in that regards. It wasn't, again, I had no idea that was what it meant. But now that it's here, then yeah, why not?
Qu'est-ce que vous avez appris de votre carrière dans la sécurité?
Wow, what did I learn? It was many years ago. I learned how to listen and understand people's needs and try to work out a plan that will address those needs. And in order to do that, you have to listen, which is very difficult to do. It sounds easy, but to actually listen to what people are saying is very hard.
Et qu'est-ce que vous avez appris de votre carrière dans l'industrie du divertissement, sur les films Shrek, Hans ou sur les jeux vidéo Tiger Woods ou SimCity?
I learned design. I mean, I was doing a very high-level computer animation project, which gave me tools that later helped me in designing loudspeakers, the actual industrial design aspect of them. And also learned a lot about the aesthetic of the final product that you're going to visualize, either through photography or just design itself.
Est-ce que vous pensez que la perfection doit être belle?
Mm. Yeah. Well, it does, but then you have to define what beautiful is. So I don't think there is a philosophical way out of this. But yes, I think that I always say, okay, it doesn't look right, it's not going to sound right. So it's not necessarily the case, but somehow it needs to look right as well in order to sound right. So it's all these elements that really have to kind of come together to create the illusion and the moment of disbelief that we need to be in. So proud of ownership is very important for me. I think that whatever product it is that you buying from Magico needs to be the absolutely best that could have been done at that particular either time or budget or anything that can dictate how much of it we can do. It has to be the best, which typically means it needs to look good too. It's something that you know I've done fine art all my life as well, as playing instruments and appreciating music. So it's always things that kind of intertwine. That the aesthetic of whatever it is that you're doing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a product. It can be the way you play music, the way you express yourself in painting or drawing, needs to be very clear. And of course, perfection is not the right word, but the aesthetics has to be viable, so people can look into what it is that you're doing more clearly.
Vous avez commencé la musique très jeune, vous avez gagné de nombreuses bourses, dans les conservatoires à San Francisco, même en Israël quand vous étiez plus jeune. N'avez-vous jamais regretté de ne pas avoir de carrière de musicien?
Yes and no. I knew that I couldn't be as good as musician as I would like to be. Classical guitar in particular, but any other instrument to be at a level that will kind of set you apart, to be the best there is, not the best you can, to be the best there is. I was just not in that category. I tried to for many years, but then when I realized that it's just not going to happen, I decided to back off. But yes, in another life, if this would have been an opportunity, I could see life in that realm of music only. That's very if one can make a somewhat decent living doing that and not suffer all the time, it would be nice, very nice. Yes.
Donc pour vous, c'est la perfection ou rien
Pretty
d'autre?
much. And not perfection, but you know, being the best at something is not necessarily being perfect. Yes, it would be nice. It kind of goes together. But you know, I always tell my kids, it's because it's a very common things to say to people. Okay, just do the best you can, and the best you can just doesn't count. It's the best there is. So it's okay. You don't necessarily gonna be able to do that, but you should thrive at doing that, which is what I'm doing with hopefully most or all of the things that I do.
Dans une vieille interview, j'ai vu que vous disiez que vous n'aviez aussi pas choisi de poursuivre votre carrière de musicien parce que c'était un métier qui ne vous aurait pas permis de gagner assez d'argent pour vos passions. Maintenant que votre passion est votre métier, pensez-vous que vous avez accompli quelque chose?
Well, it's yes. I really I couldn't even dream of being able to do what I do now at the level that I'm doing that. I mean, I've been an audiophile all my life and never really thought I can actually make a living doing that. But it the way plan. I mean, you plan your life and God laugh, right? So the way things eventually worked out are better than I could ever anticipated, allowing me to do things that I'm very passionate about and actually make a living doing that. So yeah, people always ask me, what's the plan for retirement, and when do you this is retirement for me.
D'où vient cette passion pour la reproduction du son parfait?
I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe part of it is not being is self-doubt. Is always doubting everything that that I do or think about. So maybe that's where it comes from. It's the need to kind of prove that it can be done, but also to always question yourself: is it really finished? Is it the best? And that's when you start hearing the things that are not the best, or see things that don't look quite as good, and you want to change them. So maybe that's part of the psychology of searching for what it is that you can consider I don't want to say the perfect sound, but the proper one.
J'ai entendu dire que vous aviez une photo de vous à 2 ans avec un accordéon. Alors, je voudrais savoir, 1, si c'était vrai, et 2, si vous étiez un amateur de musique précoce.
Yes, it is true. And I cherish it very much. I'm sitting next to my grandfather on one side and my uncle on the other side. Music was always in my life from as long as I remember. I started playing the violin when I was 6 years old, played classical guitar for many years, studied classical guitar in the conservatory as well. So yes, music is an integral part of my life since I remember myself, really. Even before, actually, because I don't remember taking that picture, but it's documented.
Comment pensez-vous que l'enfant de 2 ans regarderait l'adulte que vous êtes devenu?
I don't know. I was 2 years old then. I think it's definitely if you would it's somebody else needs to say that. I can't quite say it on myself, but it's definitely an interesting journey. It's not the it's not the most common road taken. You should be a psychologist. You're wasting your time here.
La perfection, c'est une quête absolue, un but qu'on ne pourra jamais atteindre.
Right.
Pourtant, ça vous fait dormir que 4 heures par nuit pour essayer de l'atteindre.
There is a cost to that. Yes.
Comment expliquez-vous cela?
It's a double-edged sword, you know, that unsatisfactory feeling that you always carry with you works in different ways. I mean, I try to manifest itself positively, building loudspeakers, but yes, it keeps you up at night. What have you missed? What can be done better? Did you remember to do that? And did you pay that? So this is kind of goes together. But I also think that that 4 hours of sleep thing, I mean, there are research now that shows that some people don't have to sleep 6 or 8 hours. So maybe it's in the genes and not just something else. It's not superpower or anything like that. It's just some people don't need to sleep as much. Thank God, it gives me a lot more time to do other things.
Est-ce que vous voyez comme un contrôle fric?
Yes, I could say that. Maybe even worse. Yeah.
Pire qu'un contrôle fric?
Yeah, probably. It's a good thing if you manifest it into the right direction, but you cannot just decide that this is what you're going to do. So it can work against you in other ways, in other aspects of your life, but it is what it is. And you have to kind of, live with that for better and worse.
Mais le bon son, c'est quelque chose de subjectif.
I don't think so. I know. It's something, listen, it's a tool and it needs to be engineered properly. And at the end of the day, if it's engineered properly, it would be closer to being able to reproduce what it is that you put into it. You can argue that you don't like it, and we can have a discussion on that, and I can show you why you should like it, but you could still disagree with me, but you'd have a hard time explaining to me why. So I don't think it's again, when you say subjective, it's more about some kind of feeling that you have, or some sort of impression that you have of what it is that you think you're hearing, but it's not necessarily reality. We don't hear the same thing, but but because of that, it's very easily to educate ourselves to what is that we hear. Yes, I mean, the mechanism of the ear is very kind of a primitive. It's the brain that does a lot of the, unlike vision, which is a direct input to the optic nerve. So in the process, your brain is doing all sorts of computation, and this is what you're hearing in the. But let me give you an example to what I refer to, because somebody just asked me that. People ask me why I chose acoustic suspension, a sealed enclosure versus ported one. I would say 90% of the loudspeakers, maybe 99% of the speakers out there are ported. Ported have some advantages. They're more efficient. They give you that oomph that many people like, but the cost is quite high. So that extra efficiency that you get there is a built-in EQ. And our speakers don't do that. They're very linear. They don't have this hump. And then, of course, a sealed enclosure rolled off at 24 dB per octave versus a ported one that goes down much quicker, 12 dB. So in fact, okay, this is a fact. This is not a subjective opinion. In fact, you get more bass with, let's say everything else is equal, you get more bass with a sealed enclosure than you do with ported. But a lot of people, at least especially in the beginning, we still get those comments that when they come and they hear our speakers and they don't hear that built-in hump that they're used to, their first reaction is like, well, where's the bass? These speakers have no bass, when in fact they have more bass. I mean, deeper bass. But one of the things that extra energy does, it masks a lot of the information that the speakers could be reproducing. So when you actually sit with people, and I've done that many, many times, I've been doing this for 20 years, and you play them a ported speaker, and the bass comes in, boo, 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 and then you play linear, and they say, yeah, but there's no bass here. But then you kind of point to the fact that you can actually follow the bass line. You hear the notes, they're very clear, they're very crisp, you hear it. And on the ported one, you don't really hear the pluck, you don't really hear the decay. And I've seen that so many times. People, you see the light, it's just like, oh, yes. Subjective versus objective. When people hear this, then they cannot unhear it. And it stays with them. And that's where you convert them. This is when they become a Magico loudspeakers owners as opposed to ported design owners. So yes, it's subjective, but not really. That's my take on that.
Tout le monde connaît votre passion pour la photographie. Est-ce que vous avez déjà pensé à faire le même travail sur les appareils photo que sur les enceintes, par exemple?
Building cameras. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have many times. We have a big machine shop at Magico. They many times machined certain parts for me that I needed for my cameras. So yes, I have considered that. I don't think it's, again, doing cameras is a whole different things. It's not something you can just do on the side. So I backed off. But a lot of parts in my large format 8x10 analog camera are made to my specification at the Magico machine shop. The product is only a small part of what I do in photography. Yes, I have a very large portfolio by now. Again, I've been doing this for taking photos maybe 40 years or so. So I've done landscape. I do a lot of street photography. I'll give you my Instagram street photography Instagram link so you could see the stuff. I mean, I actually staying an extra week in Paris just to do street shooting here. So yes, I mean the product actually I would say is the smallest part of what I do photography-wise. I do change my interest, so it kind of goes in waves. So yeah, I don't have a particular style that repeats itself. I mean, to do the same thing for 40 years, I think is madness, but a lot of people can do that. I think part of the reason I would never be a photographer per se is because I don't necessarily have a particular style. Street shooting is something that kind of comes and goes. When I do fine art, not necessarily landscape, but more urban photography, it's getting more and more difficult to do as you age because it's big camera, it's big tripod. But I also lose interest in this particular style and just move into the next one. I start shooting films again lately, so this is also something that I have not done in many, many years. I move around when it comes to photography. I had an exhibit once in Las Vegas. Yeah, no, it was maybe 6 years ago, I think, of my big print of fine art stuff. So yes, I've done one exhibit. Even sold a few photography, but yeah, it's not something I pursue.
Vous seriez donc plus fier de vos photos que du travail que vous avez fait sur le son et des enceintes?
I'm not proud of anything. So there's no, I cannot, I'm proud about my children, my grandson, but I'm not proud of what I do. It's always about what's next, what we can do better. I'm not interested in the stuff that I've done. It's not something that I have, of course, I'm very happy, but to say proud, that's a big word, you know.
Mais c'est pas un peu triste que vous ne soyez pas si fier de Magico? C'est quand même une marque de référence majeure.
No. It's not that I'm not proud of Magico. Of course, again, I had to define proud. I am proud of Magico. It doesn't mean that I'm proud of myself for creating Magico. It's different. Yes, I'm very proud of Magico. I'm very happy that there is a company. Mind you, it's not called Wolf Audio. It's called Magico, you know. A lot of companies are called on the name of the... it's not about me. It's about what can be done. And I'm proud of that. But it's almost like its own entity. Me, when you become proud of yourself, you become compliant, you become comfortable. It's not something that talks to me. I don't sit there and think to myself, oh, you know, no.
Si je comprends bien, vous êtes un peu esclave de la technologie, non?
I am, absolutely. Yeah. It's bad for ego, but you know, yeah. I told you, always in a doubt. So not to say that the ego is not big, but it's pretend. It's not really, you know. No, it's these are all valid points, I think.
Eh bien, merci pour tout.
That's it. All right. This was an excellent interview.